Hello, and thank you for joining Pristine Advisors Insider Marketing Secrets for the Investment Community. By way of introduction, let me introduce myself. My name's Patricia Baranowski Schneider, and I'm afraid you'll have to forgive the quality a little bit. I'm actually in Peru at the moment, and their internet isn't the greatest. But hey, we go where our clients need us to, don't we? Well, as mentioned, I'm Patricia Baranowski Schneider, and I've been working in your industry for over 30 years. And that's very important because it's my industry too. I'm part of the investment community, not some fly-by-night carpetbagger, and we've all come across a few of those, haven't we? Right. So why should you listen to me? Why should you take my advice on anything at all? That's a good question. Well, my company and myself individually have won many awards. Here are just a few from this year alone. There you go. As you can see, we're quite thought of in the industry, by the industry. And you can also see that I'm a major shareholder in Colgate. Joking, of course. But as I always say, you should be proud. Be proud of what you achieved. I'm actually proud of everything we've achieved and we continue to achieve. And that's my first little tip. Be proud. It seems like an obvious thing, doesn't it? Well, so many people out there in the real world think anyone involved in investments or banking or finance must be a cross between the Wolf of Wall Street and Attila the Hun, which of course is just plain ridiculous. Well, then again, maybe not for bankers. But you'd be surprised. I've had clients who are a little weary of being too positive or too upbeat. They don't want to feed the image. They're professionals in a serious business, not used car salesmen. But I still say, be proud. Be very proud of yourself. But here's the kicker. Shooting your mouth off about how great you are is not being proud. It's actually being dumb. I showed you all those awards in the beginning for a reason. You know why? Because it's not the way to do it. Your average investor or potential investor has no interest in your qualifications or awards or who you had drinks with when you were 12. They need to know that you got the skill set, but don't waste time or space that can be used gaining real credibility. And that only comes from one thing: results. Let me show you what I mean. Last year, my company, Pristine Advisors, achieved for certain clients a 376% increase in website traffic, an increased return of funds of 19%, an increased share price of 18%, total net assets increased by 14%, and database signups increased by 49%. Conference call attendance was up by 156%, and media exposure was up by 253%. Now, I think that's pretty impressive, but the best is those aren't the figures of our top clients. Nope. Those are the average for all of our clients. That's right, the average. So don't be afraid of an average. Average is great if the average is great. Now, when you single out individual successes, it can sound like you are, of course, picking out the best and leaving out the worst. So always give it some context. Amazing results are possible, and you can highlight those, but even the average is fantastic. So don't be afraid to blow your own trumpet, to shout about yourself, but back it up with real statistics and put those stats into context. There's no point in being the king of the world if people just see you as the emperor with no clothes. Clothes are actually good. Of course, having a potential client in a position to sound off to is not always the easiest thing to achieve. Every sales funnel on the planet starts off with one thing: leads. We can all have the perfect point, the finer points of a sale, but we need someone there to be sold to, don't we? Well, the days of the hard sell lead generation are pretty much over. Pop-up ads and a million spam emails pretty much finished all of that off. Nowadays, it's not about casting a net into the deepest ocean and hoping to haul in a few fish that might fatten up into something worth having and selling to. No, it's about luring those fish into shallow waters. They'll fatten up along the way and maybe catch a few followers. Then, at the right time, when they're ready to be picked up and landed, they'll be too fat and juicy to get away. But how do we perform this wonder of nature? Well, there's several ways. One of the quickest is to get some coverage in the press. Now, that's not the easiest thing to do, of course. Even if you have good contacts, they'll still like to write about something that is vaguely interesting to their reader, because, funnily enough, they're actually looking to make a few bucks too. For them to write about something that relates to you, it needs to engage their readers. They need to stay on that page and see those lovely ads that are making money for the publication. It comes as a shock to many, but an article announcing that your company exists, that you do what another 50 companies within a 10-mile radius does, and that you're absolutely wonderful, isn't really that interesting or relevant to your average reader. Yeah, I know, they must be crazy, right? But seriously, it's pretty hard to sell a story to a magazine if you really haven't got a story. It's like trying to sell a product if you haven't got one, or an investment opportunity that doesn't exist. So where's the story? Well, that's another good question. And the answer is, if you haven't got a story, you make one. Think about it, literally. Who do you want to hit? What's your target? Say you're thinking the golfing community would include a large number of high net worth individuals, the kind of people that make great investors but are notoriously hard to get at because everyone is targeting high net worth individuals. And a magazine that itself targets these guys, are they really going to be impressed that you exist, that you do what another 50 companies within a 10-mile radius does, and that you're absolutely wonderful? I don't think so. And you know what? They'd be right, because none of their readers would have any interest in that whatsoever. No, you have to make a story. How? Well, you could sponsor the closest to the pin prize at the next local pro-am or the next monthly medal tournament. Yeah, it helps to know the lingo. Fund a pro golf coaching day for statewide hopefuls, young hopefuls. And you know what? Along with getting some good press coverage, you'd also be getting a great image creation. And you might even make a few good contacts in the 19th hole. If you're targeting retirees looking to make a sound investment for their grandkids' college fund, do something that involves kids. Sponsor some after-school care or extra tuition for those struggling with math. Show it's a market you care about. You care about children, of course you do. The grandpas and grandmas will love you, and so will the press. If you're looking for the next generation of retirees, those looking to make sure they have a comfortable retirement, put on a Panama evening or a Cayman's lunch. Show the delights of retiring abroad, and of course, the best way they can hope to pay for it. If your market is broader, maybe national or international, then do something online. Best recorded hole-in-one, best retirement blog, best travel article, Young Investor of the Year. The list is endless. But above all, use your imagination. You know your potential clients better than anyone else. What would impress them besides making a ton of money, of course? But you've got to land them first. Sure, my examples are a bit corny, but you get the drift. It's not within the scope of this for me to do your thinking for you. The secret is, it's not about the answer. Sometimes it's about knowing what the question is. And in this case, the question is, where is the story? When in doubt, make one. And the great thing with this approach, whether it's a local level, a state level, or even something national or international, having gotten some coverage, you'll find the press much more receptive to any future releases you put out. It's a bit of a slog, and you need to make sure everything is done professionally, but it's worth it, and you will see the results. And that brings me nicely onto my next trick. We call it market segmentation in the industry, and I'm sure you know all about this, but it's just so important and gets so overlooked, it's worth spending a minute or so just stressing the value. Whatever you're doing in your market endeavors, never take your eyes off the target. Never forget the who. You wouldn't try to sell a cat to a dog pound, now would you? Or advertising in a vegan magazine to a cattle ranch. Well, the more general you make your marketing, your advertising, your PR, the more of that will fall on stony ground, and the more that'll be wasted, which means time and money and effort gone and opportunity lost. We all know there's no such thing as a free lunch or free anything else, so make it count. Target is ROI's best friend. Now, let's move on. Okay, so that's all about all about the time that we have for now. So we'll just go on to Q&A session. But let me just say, like I said earlier, I'll be doing these webinars on Inside Marketing Secrets about every 4 weeks. I've set up a dedicated YouTube channel, so feel free to sign up, and I can keep you posted on what's coming up next. Our YouTube is also www.youtube.com/users/pristineadvisors/video. There you go. Sign up, and I can give you a nudge when the next one's ready to go. The channel is open, by the way, so if you want to share that with any colleagues, please feel free to do so. Right, so questions. Let's see, who's up first? Okay, question number 1. How do we get media coverage for an event? Well, you'd want to create a press list. You want to frame your message. You want to, obviously write a press release. Create a media advisory. You can try contacting reporters directly if they're receptive for that. You want to create a publicity plan, prepare your spokespeople, and designate a media liaison. Let's see, question number 2. How do you get the attention of the media? Well, we make media a priority. You offer news, you watch their timing, they have media calendars. You can talk to journalists, build your contacts, choose the right media, keep it human and keep it visual. Another question, how to get recognized on Twitter? You want to choose your right username. You want to create a bio that captures your business. You want to upload a photo or image that makes you stand out. You want to introduce yourself by sending out your first tweet. Find the right people to follow. Tell your network that you're on Twitter. And just basically get the tools that you need. Next question, I knew this would come up. Regulation FD. The IR Web Report explains under certain circumstances, companies can rely on their websites and blogs to meet the public disclosure requirements under reg-fd, according to new guidance unanimously approved by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission today. Regulation FD and social media. Okay, well, the SEC has taken the right steps to embrace the new tools and services that reach people in addition to wire services. With the recognition of blogs as a viable form of disclosure, under certain circumstances, of course, the SEC is officially recognizing social media and, in a sense, socializing the rules associated with reg-fd. Perhaps the most significant change stemming from the new SEC guidance is that web-based disclosures does not have to appear in a format comparable to paper-based information unless the Commission's rules explicitly require it, which is music to my ears. Another social media question. Using social media to disseminate information, as companies rely most heavily on social media, a critical question is whether public dissemination of information through social media channels is adequate for purpose of compliance with reg-fd. In a report or investigation under Section 21A published on April of 2013, the SEC said that social media channels such as Twitter and Facebook could be used by public companies to disseminate material information without running afoul of reg-fd. The SEC emphasized that companies should apply the guidance from its 2008 interpretive release regarding the disclosure of material information on a company's website when analyzing whether a social media channel is in fact a recognized channel of distribution. According to guidance, that investors must be provided with appropriate notice of the specific channels that a company will use to disseminate material non-public information. Exchange Act Rule 14A-17. That permits the use of electronic shareholder forms to facilitate communication within limits prescribed by the rule. Under the provision, a company that sets up or runs an electronic shareholder forum will not be liable under the federal security laws for any statement made or information provided by another person on the forum. If it were to take the position that social media websites such as Twitter or Facebook constitute such a forum, the SEC would provide companies with express protection for the statements of third parties of these social media websites. So, for example, if you posted something on Twitter or Facebook and somebody made a comment of it, you're not liable for that. You've still disclosed, and we'll get into that. Social media compliant guide for issuers, brokers, dealers, and advisors. Website posting. The SEC provides reg-fd adopting releases and Rule 101E. They're asking here if the website can be used to disseminate material information for reg-fd purposes. Yes, whether as long as the company's website is a recognizable channel of distribution, and whether posting of information on the company's website disseminates the information in a manner making it available to investors and the markets in general, and whether there has been a reasonable waiting period for investors and the markets to react to the posted information. Let's see what else we have here. Social media. In April 2013, the SEC issued a report investigation under Section 21A. it's kind of, again, here, the steps companies should include evaluating which social media channels may be useful to communicate information to investors, identify on its website the social media channels that the company intends to use to disseminate material, non-public information, providing investors and the markets opportunities to subscribe, join, or review such channels, and alerting investors and the markets of the use of such channels to disseminate material information about the company. So basically, what we did for one of our clients is we issued a press release just stating that all information going forward would be posted on the fund's website or the company's website, and we would also be utilizing Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google Plus, whatever, Instagram, and we issued that press release about for 6 months in a row. It doesn't mean you have to continuously keep issuing that press release, but you've given adequate notice that this is where your information is going to be posted. So you obviously, for earnings release and whatnot, you want to issue your regular press release, but posting other information, once you've given adequate notice that that's where you will be posting information on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, your website, that can constitute clearing you for reg-fd. I know a lot of people are very terrified of any social media because of reg-fd, but reg-fd has actually come a long way. It was a very misunderstood, territory for them to enter with financial companies, but they have come a long way, and they do recognize, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and say, for example, with us being an outside source, we work for the company, but we're an outside source, and we would never post information on behalf of a company, like speaking for them. If there's information that's already public knowledge, such as a press release or they're doing a webcast and they posted it on their website, and we just kind of regurgitated that information. We reposted it on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Again, that falls into that one question that I just answered, where a third party that just either comments, not that we're commenting, but you could, but we're just regurgitating the information that's already public knowledge. So it does cover you with reg-fd. But anyway, that's pretty much all that we have time for right now. If you do have additional questions, sorry I can't get to them, but please feel free to comment on them here, or you can email them to me at pbaronowski, that's PBARONOWSKI, at pristineadvisors.com. That's pristineadvisors.com. You can also check us out on the website, www.pristineadvisors.com. And as I mentioned, we'll be doing these webinars probably about every 4 weeks or so. So if I didn't get to your question, feel free to email it to me. Feel free to share this link with anyone you believe might find this useful. And if you have any other questions or any other ideas for a topic, by all means, let me know. I'm happy to help. I'll talk to you soon, and thank you so much for participating. Take care.